Okay, this is part two. We'll see if we can't get a better signal over here for $100 a month. Our money doesn't buy shit any longer, does it? And corporations just run roughshod over people while they're taking their money. They're all just a bunch of criminals. Thanks, Xfinity, for being such a criminal. So where I left this off is human beings always fall short. We always fall short. We are not perfect. So I will never do a perfect job at this. I will never have a perfect reading, right? I won't be able to ever read to you perfectly without any mistakes. I won't ever be able to be perfect. And so what does that mean? That means that I got to look over here so just see where my titles are. So what that means is that even if you had a sibling, your sibling will always fall short of what you wanted, of your expectations. Always. And guess what? You will always fall short of your siblings' expectations. Think about it in marriages. It's the same thing. The husband is never perfect and will always fall short of his wife's expectations. And the wife, I will always fall short of my husband's expectations. It isn't because that's what I hope or that's what I want to do. It's not that I set out to not meet my husband's expectations. To the contrary, I got married in order to meet my husband's expectations. But I will always fall short. So, Savannah or Chrissy or whoever wishes that they had a sibling, just remember that no matter what our circumstances are, they are always going to fall short of perfection. So even if we had a sibling, it doesn't mean we'd get along with that sibling. Could beat us up every day. There are siblings who are bullies and beat their other siblings up every single day. Who needs that kind of sibling, right? But I'm not telling you not to worry about it because you could have a really bad sibling. What I'm telling you to do is you've got to make the best of your situation, is what you have to do, right? And know that this situation was made just for you. Now you're like, I hate my situation. Why would anybody make this just for me? I don't have a sibling. I don't have a mom who works all day. I don't have a dad around here. Our house smells. Why in the world, right, wouldn't I want things to be better than this? Again, right, it's not looking at your situation the way that it is. Of course you have to. You want somebody there to play with. And it doesn't make you feel better to know that the person you want to play with may not be a nice person. That doesn't make you feel better. You might have an awful sibling. Oh, well, great. Then I guess I don't want any. That probably doesn't make you feel any better, right? But what you need to know is that, number one, we all have situations that we cannot do anything about. All of us. And from those situations that I say are made just for me, to be in isolation early as a baby, to be in isolation right now, later on, that situation was made just for me. Who's making this horrible situation? Who's making this horrible situation make me strong? This horrible situation is making me get along all by myself. Who's making this horrible situation that is forcing me to learn how to teach on social media when I don't even know how to use social media? Who's forcing me to do all of these things because my life isn't so great the way it is if I don't do those things? Do you see what I'm saying? We all have things in our life that we can't control. I believe that this life was made specially for me so that I can get what I'm supposed to get out of it so I can teach you. I also believe that my isolation, even though I had 3 sisters before I got with my 3 sisters, I was in isolation. I believe that taught me how to be isolated right now. I think I am just fine. I've been isolated for over a year, and I think I'm just fine. So those things help us. They build the skills in us that you might need. You might need that skill of not having a sibling so you are a better friend. Maybe. I don't know. I'm so happy that you wrote your letters. I am so happy that you wrote those letters, Chrissy and Savannah, and talked about that. And even though it's going to make you sad, right, to not have a sibling, and you can't just make one out of clay and have it work, but you can't have a real sibling and have it work the way you want to either, right? So we look at this, we say, I must be blessed to be alone so that I can learn what? Something. Where are we? Okay. All right. So letter 1, I loved the letters. I didn't like highlights answer, but there were some valuable points in it, right? There were some points in it that I used. Okay. Letter number 2. These 2 letters, excuse me. Both of these letters are from 2013. I have not read these. Dear highlights, I like biking, but I have a big family that consists of 2 parents, me 9, my brothers 6, 5, and 3. We're almost always busy and we just almost never have time. So the exact opposite of the lonely people, Savannah and Chrissy. Now you've got the exact opposite. We have too many people in our family and we almost never have time. That was from Anonymous, age 9 in 2013. And now here's another one from Brianna, age 9 in 2013 as well. Oh, that's a different letter. Never mind. I thought it was the same kind of letter. It's not. Okay, so we're always busy. So the exact opposite of Savannah's problem. Dear friend, you are very fortunate to have such a big family, but we can understand how this would make it hard to find biking time. We encourage you to sit down with your parents and talk about this question. Explain in a calm, clear way that you really enjoy bike riding and you're looking for more times when you can pursue this interest. Make sure they know that you understand how busy your family is and that you are willing to work around the family's schedule. Then listen well to what they have to say. We believe they will have some good suggestions for you. Here are a few ideas that may help. Perhaps you and your family can make a schedule, writing in many commitments and activities going on for everyone, and then finding free times that could be used for biking. Sounds like a lot of work. Sounds like you could be biking while before you would make this up, right? Sounds like a lot of work when you could be biking during that time. Setting specific time aside will make it easier to plan for it. Lots of families don't plan like that, right? And if you have an active, busy schedule, there's no way in the world somebody's going to go, soccer for Bobby and tennis for Sally and skateboarding and schoolwork for Johnny. And, hold on, let me get in the schedule. Yeah. If it's too difficult to find a time when everyone is free to bike, you could ask your parents about biking with friends or relatives. Depending on the layout and safety of your neighborhood, you might even talk to your parents about places you can bike without an adult riding with you, such as your driveway or up and down your street. Of course, it is your parents' decision and it is their job to keep you safe. Respect their wishes regarding safety, especially about the times and places you can ride. Some parents don't care about safety at all. Right? Isn't that true? I mean, parents aren't just, these kind of parents, busy parents is what I'm saying. Busy parents like that, where you have chaos in the house. I'm not saying that this is this family, right? I'm just saying when you have a lot of chaos in the house, you're not worried about safety. That's not like you're just like, oh, is Johnny? No, that's not the thing you're worried about. Respect their wishes regarding safety, especially about the times and places you can ride. Remember, even if you aren't able to bike as much as you want to, think of other activities, running, climbing, jumping rope, etc. They are great muscle strengthening exercises that will come in handy next time you're on a bike. Well, that's exactly what this 9-year-old wants, to strengthen their muscles. That's what they're there for, right? Who are you talking to? I like the kids' questions, though. It sounds to me like this anonymous child wants to ride with his family. That's what it sounds like, right? Because likely that child can, if he has a bike, he likely has space to ride up and down the sidewalk, up and down the driveway, something, but probably sounds like he wants to bike with the family more often. And I totally get that. We used to bike as a family, but the only time we really used to bike as a family was when the kids were really young. And I wasn't much of a biker, so I started walking, right? So I did more walking. I just wasn't much of a biker. It made my butt sore. Hills, I am not much of a biker. I like to bike a lot as long as the terrain is easy, right? If it's up and down and hills and, which is usually where I would bike, up and down hills, and even sometimes when we would go on vacation. But that's what I was going to say. The idea that I had about this letter is this, and that is we didn't bike as a family a lot, even though I enjoyed it. And I bet the kids did too, right? So it sounds to me like you're asking to bike as a family, not just bike around the neighborhood. That's what's fun, is biking as a family, right? That's what it sounds like. We would take evening walks, but when the kids were in sports, and at first they would ride their bikes. So when they were really little, tricycle, training wheels, that's when we were able to do it. But when they got older, they had sports. So there was no way. So when they were little, we would go out, take a walk, and they would bike. And I would walk and they would bike, right? And we lived in a safe neighborhood. So if they wanted to bike faster, I could see them and they could go up and come back and do whatever they wanted while I walked. Because I first started biking, but I didn't care for it so much. And I could keep up, and we could all keep up, and it was fine while I walked. But when they got in sports, we couldn't do that in the evening any longer. And so the only time that we could bike together as a family was on vacation. That was it. That was it. When the boys were older, we never biked together as a family. And when I'm talking about older, I'm talking about when they got into sports. So that was about 9 years old, just like what this anonymous person wrote, right around 9 years old. We just weren't. So we would take, but the trips we would take, and this is what I wanted to say, the vacations that we would take were camping vacations. So we always brought our bikes, right? So we did always make sure that we would bike. So maybe think about times when you could ask your parents, let's go on a camping trip so we can bike. You think about the times when you might be able to get the family to bike, but you cannot expect, if you're all busy, you can't expect to be doing that a lot. We were only able to do it once the boys were in sports when we were on vacation. But that made it so special. I remember us biking. I remember when we were in Ludington and we were biking, wasn't it? Or no. Oh my gosh. It's the Petoskey. It's the stone, I was going to say. Petoskey. And we were biking in Petoskey. And all of our biking, I have such fond memories. And then I did bike. I was biking. So biking with the family in Petoskey. And they had bike trails, so they didn't have all that. So those were really special times. They were very special times. You know, in the summertime, we would always play in the field right out there, which now has a house on it. We would always play wiffle ball. And so another thing, it's like, well, when the boys got older, things happened. We didn't play wiffle ball as much, right? Did we love playing wiffle ball? Yeah, it was the best family time. But it was different for me than it was for the boys. The boys used to get aggravated with me because I would take so long to get outside. Well, that's the way I enjoyed it, right? That's the way I enjoyed it. So make it enjoyable for other. Think of an idea that makes it enjoyable for everybody, right? Like, let's go on a vacation where we can bring our bikes and go bike riding as a family. All right. So it is true to think about ideas, but sitting down and explaining in a calm, clear way that you really enjoy bike riding and you're looking for more times when you can pursue this interest. I can't imagine a parent in the planet or a child where we would have that kind of exchange, right? Have an idea. Come up with an idea. Hey guys, what do you think about this? Make sure you like the idea, like camping and bringing your bikes, whatever the idea is. Come up with the idea. But don't have the expectation that everybody's going to want to get together as often as you do and like it. We're all different, right? So make a plan and then treasure that time that you had together. Because again, we only got together riding bikes in the summer on a vacation after the kids were older. But I loved it. It was a great, great memory. Okay, next one. Dear highlights. My mom and my grandma said, don't cross the street and go to where is my friends are. But I always get so angry from them. I'm 9 years old and I know to cross the street. Can you help, please? This is Brianna, age 9. Dear Brianna, we hope you will realize that your mom and your grandma have said this because they are concerned for your safety. Although you know how to cross the street, accidents do happen, and they can happen even when people are being careful. They don't want you to be hurt by a car or some other vehicle. Try to explain to your mom and grandma how you are feeling, but don't get angry. Anger rarely solves anything, and it can make it harder to find solutions. If you can show them that you are mature and able to take care of yourself, perhaps they will be willing to let you cross the street on your own. If not, we hope you will be able to accept their decision. Be patient. We're sure the day will come when you will be able to cross the street on your own. Now, I like that last sentence. Most of it is only okay. The day will come when you'll be able to cross the street on your own. And it's not going to be that long away. It's already here. You were 2013 and now it's 2023. And so now you're 19 and I bet you can cross the street on your own, can't you? So the day will come when you can cross the street on your own. And you don't want to be too anxious to cross the street. Crossing the street is very dangerous. We lost a dog crossing the street, right? And it was on a street that people didn't come down very often, and it was a mistake, and the dog got hit by a car crossing the street. You're like, I'm not a dog. I know better. You know what? So did that dog know better as well. And so did my mom, who was calling the dog to come across the street, know better as well. Everyone knows better. Everyone knows better. But those accidents still happen. Your mom and grandma are right. If they don't want you to cross the street on your own, I was not able to cross the street until I was much older. Much older. You're just not allowed to. There's crazy drivers. There's things that happen. You don't even know if you cross the street, a car will come up and stop and try and pull you into their car. Right? Right? I agree that you cannot cross a street without adult help for a long time. And it's not just because you don't know how to look both ways. Of course you know how to look both ways. Of course you do. There are lots of other reasons why you shouldn't be allowed to cross a street, especially if it's a busy street. But like I said, ours was a country road, not very busy, but very fast. Cars drove very fast down that country road, right? So what would I do? I would ask my mom or my grandmother to walk me across the street to go to my friend's house. I don't see why that would be hard for them to do. If they don't want to do it, it may be because they don't want you going over to that friend's house, right? There may be another reason why. So what I would do is I would say, can you walk across the street with me to my friend's house? Walk me to my friend's house, then at least you get to play with your friend, right? But if your mom and your grandma say no, they might not want you playing with that friend, or maybe they don't want you playing with that friend so much. My dad hardly ever let me go out on Friday nights. And I was like, everyone goes out. What kind of parent doesn't let their child go to the football game and then the dance afterwards on Friday night? A school football game and a school dance. What kind of father wouldn't let their daughter do that? A father who didn't want her daughter hanging around those boys who weren't being very nice or who were acting nice but really weren't. That's the kind of father. So it's like, why couldn't I go out on Friday nights like all my friends? Because he knew what those boys wanted to do. That's the reason why. So you can ask your mom or your grandma if they will help you cross the street, even though you can do it all by yourself and look both ways. There are good reasons why I would not let a 9-year-old cross the street by themselves either. I wouldn't. I would, but I would be standing right by the door, right? I would stand right there, watch the child. I even would give them directions at first. All right, nothing's coming. You can go. You wait till I tell you, you can go. That's what I would do. So just because you know how to cross the street doesn't mean that a parent isn't going to worry about you crossing that street and want to watch you cross that street. I absolutely would. I watched my son, jump on a trampoline. Every time he went out there, I would be spying on him. And then he got mad. He's like, why are you always spying on me? Because I don't know you're going to tumble off of there. I was watching. Even though he is old enough to jump on a trampoline, I was still watching. So let mom or grandma watch you. Let them walk you across the street. But if they say no, they may not want you playing with that friend. And if that's the case, whatever the reason is, you do have to listen to them. There might be a better reason. Now, again, there aren't perfect parents. Maybe your mom and grandma are sitting there smoking cigarettes and drinking bourbon in the afternoon, and that's the reason why they don't let you cross the street. In that case, what I would do in that case is truly, if you have a mom and a grandma who are mean, who are just mean, what I would do is I would go and spend as much time as I could alone, right? Because you may not even pick very good friends. Let's say that your mom and your grandma are mean. Let's say that. You might pick a mean friend. You might be kind of mean yourself because that's what you learn, and then you pick other mean people, right? So we want to be careful to make sure that we're filling our minds with positive things, with good choices, right? That make ourselves feel better. It's not going to make you feel better if you go sneak to your friend's house, right? And lie to your mom and your grandma, especially if that friend maybe not be any good for you. Maybe that friend's saying, just do it, just do it. That's not good for you. That'll get you in trouble, right? Okay? So I would, as It's not that I always followed the rules, but I did generally follow the rules. Not all the rules, but I did generally follow the rules. And I think it's a good idea to try and follow the rules. And if you don't like the rules, but there's nothing you can do about it, as I just said about taking bike rides, most of our lives, there's nothing we could do about it. Most of the time, there's nothing we could do about it, right? You want a raise, there's nothing you could do about it. You want a better education, but you live so-and-so. There's nothing you can do about it. You want to be a boy and you're a girl, but there's nothing you could do about it, right? Not really, right? Without whatever. And even then, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes there are things, and then you go and force that change. You force yourself over your friend's house. You're in bigger trouble. You force yourself to ride with your family all the time and make a schedule and all that. Everyone's like, I hate this. I hate it. You forcing an issue doesn't make that turn out the way you want it to, ever. Ever it won't. Okay? So what I would try and do is live within the rules that you have. But if you have a mean mom and mean grandma, then try and spend more time by yourself trying to fill your mind with positive things that you could make on your journey. All right, I can't go to my friend's house, but I'm going to learn how to be a good friend so that when I am at a friend's house, I'm picking good friends. I'm not picking people like my mom and my grandma. Now, I'm not saying your mom and grandma are mean. I'm just saying there are mean parents out there. I've seen them all over the place, how they treat their kids and manipulate their kids. Oh, I have cancer again. Honestly, parents who are doing that and manipulating their kids. Oh, I have cancer again. That's horrible. For attention. We are just filled with a planet of narcissists. So I'm not saying your mom and grandma are mean. I'm saying that whether they're mean or nice, you have to listen to their rules. You do. It'll make your life easier. And then think about what your journey is supposed to be, given that you have a mom and grandma that won't let you cross the street right now. What's your world going to be? What's your journey going to be like now? Right? That anger, that is so, I always get so angry. That is so, from them, because of them, right? That's such a good thing that you admit, right? But it's not a good feeling to have. So what are you going to do about that when you get angry? When they tell you you can't and you get angry, what are you going to do about that? It's something you probably should think about. What are you going to do about that? Are you going to punch the wall? Are you going to scream and yell at your mom and grandma? Are you going to sneak out to your friend's house? Are you going to sit down and write a story? Are you going to color? Are you going to search the internet and learn how to make a dummy doll to be a ventriloquist, right? Are you going to learn ways to fill your time that makes your journey the best possible journey, given the fact that you're in a position you don't want to be in? So am I. Join the crowd, right? There's always something that every person can say, right now I'm in this position, no matter how big or small, and I wish I wasn't. Every person can say that. This is Dr. Annette Feravich, and thanks for joining me here in the classroom, our new classroom for our new schedule for fall 2023, right? Our Healthy Mind, Body, Spirits classroom. Don't forget that is combining critical thinking, spiritual classroom, philosophical classroom, where I had lots of topics, but lots of topics, right? Lots of topics. Maybe just slow down a little bit with the topics, for Pete's sake. And that's what we've done. So I'm the teacher. Thank you so much for joining me here in the classroom.